story tonight in a Title IX case out of Texas as an Obama-era rule meant to protect college students takes heat for doing just the opposite. A new federal lawsuit points to a young man who was one course shy of graduating and then ended up tragically taking his own life. Trace Gallagher takes us through this disturbing detail live from our West Coast newsroom tonight. Trace.
Hi, Martha. Title IX has been law in this country for 45 years. In short, it prohibits sexual discrimination in any school or college that accepts federal funding. But in 2011, the Department of Education under President Obama issued the now famous Dear Colleague letter, which reinterpreted Title IX and dictated precisely how colleges would adjudicate student-on-student sexual assault allegations. For example, investigations and rulings would be limited to 60 days. Instead of clear and convincing evidence, colleges would use preponderance of evidence, which is the lowest standard of proof. Defendants could no longer cross-examine their accusers, and accusers could appeal a not guilty verdict, amounting to what many legal experts say is double jeopardy. The Dear Colleague guidelines also spawned a rash of sexual misconduct allegations, including the case last May of Thomas Clockie, a student at the University of Texas, Arlington. Clockie, a straight male, was accused by a gay male student of writing anti-gay comments on his computer and calling him anti-gay slurs. Clockie said it was the accuser who made unwelcome sexual advances toward him, and because those advances were rejected, Clockie said the accuser made up the story about sexual misconduct. Clockie ended up being charged with 2 violations, was told he could be expelled, and a few days later took his own life. But a lawsuit against the university now claims that Clockie never even got the lowest protections under Title IX, saying that a Title IX coordinator was never informed of the allegations and that Thomas Clockie never got a hearing and therefore never had a chance to present witnesses in his defense. The University of Texas won't comment on the lawsuit except to say it followed all policies and procedures, and we should note the Trump administration is still assessing how to address the Dear Colleague guidelines now in place.
Well, we hope that they will look into it. Trace, thank you very much. This is a very important story. Joining me now in an exclusive, the attorney to Thomas Clockie's parents, Kenneth Chaikin. Kenneth, thank you very much for being here. Obviously, this family is distraught, heartbroken over the loss of their son. And these cases where a person who's accused on a college campus, we see time and time again, the person who is accused has essentially no right to defend themselves on a college campus, correct?
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, well, in this case in particular, Thomas Clockie had no chance whatsoever to even mount a defense, let alone to have a fair process. And the consequences, as was just stated, were absolutely devastating. He was distraught by the occurrence of the accusations, his inability to defend himself, and ultimately the devastating impact it had on his life and his future.
He was immediately told that he could not go to that class anymore, right? And this is what we see in many of these harassment cases. The person who's accused basically is cut off from their life, even though they have not had any due process, any opportunity to argue their own side of the story anywhere.
That's absolutely true, and in this case, he was not only immediately pulled out of the class and unable to continue to receive the information in the class, yet expected to take the exams, etc. He was unable to even talk to anybody in the class, even if his intent to talk to them was to ask them what they saw the day of the incident that took place in the classroom, which in effect denied him any opportunity to even find a witness in support of his position.
Yeah. I mean, we hope, because we've done a number of stories on these Title IX cases, that the Trump administration, Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, will look at this Dear Colleague letter and will try to create a system that is more just for both sides, because we live in a country where you're innocent until proven guilty. But what is your one bit of advice, because I'm almost out of time, to a college student, if they're accused of something like this on campus, what do you advise them to do?
Well, first, take an accusation in and of itself very, very seriously, and understand that the stakes of not doing so and not finding out what your rights are and how to protect those rights can be absolutely devastating if you don't act to protect them. So we encourage students to involve their parents and seek legal counsel. It's about the best they can do.
Kenneth, thank you. We'll continue with this. We'll be right back.